no matter how cynical you get, it's hard to keep up. Lily Tomlin. And everyone's like, Viva, why do you have a Democrat quote in the banner of your Twitter feed? I was like, Democrats can say smart things too every now and again. Bada bing, bada boom. Plus, who knows? By the time she, is Lily Tomlin alive? She might have turned Republican. They do say if you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart, and if you're not a conservative when you're old, you have no brain. The news of the day was that the Supreme Court ruling in one of the cases involving the detention and deportation of TdA de Aragua gang members under the Alien Enemies Act, that the Supreme Court came down 5-4. Amy Coney Barrett, dirty traitor, was on the side of the three libs, came down 5-4 in support of Trump, saying he gets to do it. Now, I actually go read these decisions, not that I rely on the summary by propagandists. I like to go, in as much as I humanly can, find the actual decisions and read them. I will tell you, I read quickly, and I read the first few lines of a paragraph. If it doesn't get to where I think it needs to go, scroll down and read the end. And you can get what you need to know of this order, because I'm reading the per curiam majority decision, and I'm reading, like, ugh. The first thing I say is, like, is this the right decision? Like, everyone's saying this is amazing. This strikes me as being not just not amazing, it strikes me as like almost being the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or at least the blueprint for how the activists are now going to respond going forward. And I don't think I'm wrong about that. Per curiam means there was not one judge who put their name to it. 5-4. This matter concerns the detention and removal of Venezuelan nationals believed to be members of the TdA de Aragua, an entity that the State Department has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. The president, okay, then we get to the proclamation. Yeah, see, now I skip. Okay, fine. Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by TdA de Aragua. 5 detainees and a putative class sought injunctive and declaratory relief against the implementation of and the removal under the proclamation. So you understand that the measure was, the way it played out, actually, it's kind of fascinating, is Trump issued this proclamation designating TdA de Aragua a terrorist organization. And so could then apply the Alien Enemies Act to TdA de Aragua, which he argues is a predatory incursion force, which means it's coming at the direction of a foreign government. We're not at a time of war. And the way the media was spinning this was, okay, he designates them as a terrorist organization so that he can invoke the Enemies Act, but we're not at war with Venezuela. Are we at war with Venezuela? No, so you can't invoke the Enemies Act. Idiots. Smooth-brained or ill-informed or propagandist idiots. There is something called a predatory incursion, which itself is not necessarily predicated on there being a formal declaration of war. It's rather a predatory incursion done at the behest or the request of a foreign government. And the argument here, and I don't think anyone disputes it, is that these gang members were sent at the specific request at the behest of the Venezuelan government. A putative class action. I mean, they're trying to get a class action to have a massive TRO, temporary restraining order, to prohibit their detainment and deportation. And so, okay, fine. That's the procedural mechanism, not the substantive issue at law here as to whether or not Trump can invoke the Alien Enemies Act to deport people that they've designated, and doing it as a matter of basically sort of quasi-military policy and not as a matter of legislative policy. In as much as the courts, as the analogy goes, Stephen Miller gave it to Casey Hunt on CNN, the courts are not going to come in and say what terrorist base the president can order the bombing of in Yemen. Same thing should apply here. They're coming in and saying, no, these people have due process, and you can't just deport them because you've designated them as a terrorist organization under this proclamation so that you can apply the Alien Enemies Act. Okay, that's the broader context. Initially, the detainees sought relief in habeas corpus, show me the body, bring me the body, among other causes of action, but they dismissed their habeas claims. March 15, 2025, the District Court for the District of Columbia issued 2 temporary restraining orders, TROs, preventing any removal of the named plaintiffs and preventing the removal under the Alien Enemies Act of the provisionally certified class consisting of, and then they define the class. So basically, the DC court comes in and says, you can't deport them. We're issuing a TRO. Turn those planes around. Tough noogies, they're already in international waters. Go F yourself. But you can't deport them as members of a class. And here's the temporary restraining order issued in the context of that putative class, the determined class in a class action. And what do they come in and they say? We grant the application to vacate the TROs. The detainees seek equitable relief against the implementation of the proclamation and against the removal under the AEA, Alien Enemies Act. They challenge the government's interpretation of the act and assert that they did not fall within the category of removable alien enemies. But we do not reach those arguments. They don't even address them because that's not the substance of it. Challenges to removal under the AEA, a statute which largely precludes judicial review, and then they cite that precedent, must be brought in habeas. So they're not saying that Trump can invoke the Alien Enemies Act and that it's not subject for judicial review, they're saying you want to challenge it, you go do it by way of habeas corpus, show me the body, challenge through habeas, not through a class action temporary restraining order. So I'm reading this like, crap, is this the right decision? Because this is not looking good, because all they're going to go do right now on a going forward basis, and we'll get to it, is go by way of habeas, challenge each and every detention and deportation via habeas. Give me my habeas corpus hearing before you deport me. Good luck deporting. I don't know how many violent TdA terrorist organization members there are. There's like, say there's 10 million illegals. They're not all subject to potential deportation under the AEA as applied, but I don't know how many there are, 100,000. So let's just assume that everyone files a habeas motion if they get deported. So before they get deported, you have a habeas hearing on each and every one of, just say it's 50,000 and it's a 1-day hearing. That's a lot, but 50,000 court days. How long is that going to take? Say it's 3 hours. It's 150,000 hours. How many court days is that going to take? The detainees also sought equitable relief against summary removal. Although judicial review under the AEA is limited, we have held that an individual subject to detention and removal under the statute is entitled to judicial review. Quote, as to, quote, questions of interpretation of constitutionality of the act, as well as whether or not she or he is in fact an alien enemy 14 years of age or older. So reading this, basically what they're saying is everybody who contests it, I'm 13, you don't get to deport me, so I get a hearing. I'm not a member of the TdA, so you don't get to deport me. I want my hearing. For all the rhetoric of the dissents, today's order and per curiam confirm that the detainees subject to removal orders under the AEA are entitled to notice and an opportunity to challenge their removal. The only question is which court will resolve that challenge. For the reasons set forth, we hold that venue lies in the district of confinement. The dissents would have the court delay resolving that issue, requiring, given our decision today, that the process begin anew down the road. We see no benefit. Application to vacate the orders of the United States District Court, yada, 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 is granted. March 15, 2025 minute order. So scroll up because this is the key. For all the rhetoric of the dissents, today's order and per curiam confirm that the detainees subject to removal orders under the AEA are entitled to notice and an opportunity to challenge their removal. The only question is which court will resolve that. And so they say you got to do it in the area, in the district of confinement under a habeas and not through a TRO in the context of a class action. That's not a victory. I'm sorry. And I don't want to get too pessimistic. And I'm talking with Encryptus before the show. And like, do you understand it the same way? And Encryptus, via his AI wonder, because I trust my judgment, but I want to vet it. And I put out a tweet just to, feel the water. If someone says, Viva, you idiot, didn't you understand this part of it? What you're saying is totally wrong. Well, nobody said that. And I don't think I'm wrong. And I tweeted out, as far as I understand the Supreme Court 5-4 ruling, quote, in favor of Trump, it actually does not adjudicate anything on the merits, and even on its face seems to lay out the very complex and impractical framework for future deportations. Is my reading accurate? And here's the graph created by Agent Guru. This is the process under this particular decision. For those listening in podcast, required process for deportation under the Alien Enemies Act, Trump versus JGG 2025. Step 1, you can have lots of fun. Step 2, sorry. Step 1, government decision to remove under the Alien Enemies Act, proclamation. Step 2, detainee is given official notice of an AEA, Alien Enemies Act removal designation. Step 3, notice must be timely and allow for real opportunity to file habeas petition. Step 4, detainee files habeas petition in district of confinement, whatever that district is. Step 5, district court reviews. Is it constitutional? And are they legit under the AEA for deportation? They're 13. Nope, you don't get to go. Oh, you're not a member of the TdA. It was allegedly just a soccer ball with a crown on it, or a crown to your parents. Oh, you're not a member of the gang, so you don't get to go. I mean, due process is a not just a wonderful thing. It's an essential thing. Some people are going to say they're illegal to begin with. Fine, but then the argument's going to be you don't deport them to an El Salvadorian gang prison if they're not members of TdA, and you just deport them to a country that won't take them back because they're already here. That's your problem, tough noogies. This is the process. Although I feel bad, we put this graph out. It's not like the immigration activists who want to flood the country with illegals so they can basically turn America into a uni-party blue state. It's not like they're not going to know this, but this is it. So the question is going to be, can you detain and deport before they have a chance to file habeas? I mean, some people are going to say that's totally unfair. But every one of them who wants to avoid deportation, they know the blueprint. I'm the 13-year-old with the biggest mustache you've ever seen in your life. These tattoos, yeah, we can get tattoos at 12 years old in Venezuela. It's totally normal. So that's it. I don't think it's a victory. I actually think it's the majority basically telling the dissent, shut your traps, you bunch of hysterical idiots. We're basically on your side here. They just don't go through a class action, just go through a habeas, individual habeas. Oh, but they don't have, they might not all have the means to do it. Maybe not. It's a tough life. That's it. Maybe it'll be good. Create an entire court system if it doesn't already exist. I suspect it already exists. But then what's going to happen is you're going to get your activists, district judges, whomever, who are going to systematically say, the evidence that they're TdA, not so strong. Sure, they got, tattoos on their faces and their shoulders, and they got TdA on their back with their names, but they since left the gang. In fact, they left the gang since the time they left Venezuela. It's an impractical procedure that even the majority has set up, and I don't want to sound too black-pilled. It is what it is. And that's my understanding, and I don't think I'm wrong about that. And the breaking news of the day in response to that was apparently Judge Boasberg canceled a hearing that he was supposed to have in response to the Supreme Court ruling, and is going to regroup and reassess. And maybe he's going to have a clerk go out and find that memo that we put together here. And well, I would love to order and enjoin all of them as a class, but I can't do that anymore. So what they're going to have to do is adhere to the Supreme Court ruling. And here's the step 1. Here's step 2, here's step 3, step 4, step 5. Go inundate the court system so that it's bogged down for years. And in Trump's 3.5 years left in office, a little more than that, 3.8 years, he'll be lucky if he can get out any more than what he's already gotten out, because they'll be tied up for due process. Means the wheels of justice turn very, very slowly, even for illegal aliens here illegally who are suspected members of a designated terrorist organization. Judge Boasberg cancels hearing on Trump deportations after Supreme Court ruling. Supreme Court ruled on Monday that deportations under the AEA can continue. They can continue. Put an asterisk on that. District Judge James Boasberg canceled his Tuesday afternoon hearing on the Trump administration's use of the Aliens Enemies Act to deport alleged migrant gang members without due process after the Supreme Court ruled Monday evening that the administration could resume carrying out such deportations. With an asterisk, Boasberg had scheduled the hearing to consider whether to convert the temporary restraining order he issued blocking those deportations last month into a longer-lasting preliminary injunction, as he mulled whether to hold the administration in contempt for failing to provide information about the deportation of over 200 alleged Venezuelan gang members. This is a judge who thinks he's commander-in-chief. An activist, corrupt judge. What was the deal with his daughter that was recently disclosed? She's working for an activist organization. I mean, this is Judge Juan Marchand 2.0, except he predated Judge Juan Marchand. So I guess he's Judge Juan Marchand 1.0, and Judge Marchand is Boasberg 2.0. He canceled the hearing, did not address where the contempt issue stands. Supreme Court ruled 5-4, and we just covered that. The unsigned opinion lifted Boasberg's temporary restraining order, ruling that he lacked jurisdiction to address the matter. So they're going to go regroup, send them all to whatever activist organizations are helping literal gang members stay in a country illegally where they are, at least some of them, literally committing the most violent, heinous crimes imaginable. Last month, Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act, a wartime authority used to deport non-citizens with little to no due process, arguing that the Venezuelan gangs are a hybrid criminal state that is invading the United States. Boasberg temporarily blocked the president's use of the law on March 15, ordering the government to turn around 2 flights carrying more than 200 alleged TdA members to El Salvador. Authorities failed to return the flight, leading to the judge to threaten the administration with contempt. What on earth, people?